Do you still remember this girl? 1 year ago, a foreign internet celebrity named Gabby Petito was murdered, and now the case has finally been solved. The truth aligns with what many netizens had speculated. Behind the facade of a sweet romance, their relationship was riddled with problems and had long been unrecognizable. Hello everyone, I'm Michael Vincent, and today we're going to revisit the entire process of the Gabby Petito murder case and share the official conclusion. Gabby Petito, whom we'll refer to as Gabby from now on, was born on March 19, 1999 in Long Island, New York, USA. A few years later, her parents had a younger brother for her. However, shortly after his birth, her parents divorced and each went on to start new families. Fortunately, both her stepfather and stepmother treated Gabby as their own, so her parents' divorce didn't negatively impact her upbringing. On the contrary, under the doubled affection of two sets of parents, Gabby grew up with a lively and cheerful personality. She also developed a deep love for nature. During high school, Gabby met Brian, and the two quickly developed mutual feelings. After graduating, they became a couple. Their shared interests made them seem like a perfect match. They both loved nature, hiking, and adventure. Most importantly, as a couple in the throes of passionate love, they never ran out of things to talk about. In July 2020, Brian proposed to Gabby, and the two immediately shared their sweet joy on social media. Friends and family congratulated them on finding their life partners. It's worth noting that Brian's parents were equally thrilled, as they genuinely liked Gabby. After the engagement, they invited her to live with them in Northport, Florida. However, after the incident, Brian's parents' attitude took a drastic 180-degree turn, which left many netizens deeply dissatisfied. After getting engaged, Gabby and Brian began planning their future. Since they were both young, they wanted to fulfill a shared dream before tying the knot: a cross-country road trip in a camper van. In December, they purchased a white Ford Transit van and converted it into a small RV. Gabby documented their sweet daily life with her loved one and shared it on social media as they worked toward their dream together. In July 2021, they finally embarked on their cross-country journey, and it was this trip that turned Gabby into an internet celebrity. Before this, Gabby had been a nutritionist who enjoyed sharing snippets of her everyday life. With her sweet appearance and outgoing personality, she was well-liked and had already amassed 100,000 followers on a certain platform. After deciding on the road trip, she quit her job, created her own website, and opened a YouTube account under her name. By sharing videos of their RV travels, their sweet romance in front of the camera, and their enviable lifestyle, they attracted a huge amount of attention from netizens. Gabby's follower count soon skyrocketed to over 1 million. On July 5th, they arrived at Monument Rocks in Kansas. On July 8th, they visited Colorado Springs, followed by Great Sand Dunes National Park in Colorado on July 10th. From July 16th to 18th, they camped for 3 nights in Zion National Park. On July 21st, they reached Bryce Canyon National Park in Utah, followed by Mystic Hot Springs in Monroe, Utah on July 26th, and Canyonlands National Park in Utah on July 29th. However, after July 29th, Gabby's account updates began showing irregularities. What had been a consistent posting rhythm of every 4 or 5 days suddenly stopped. It wasn't until August 12th that her account finally updated again. By then, they had reached Arches National Park in Utah. On August 19th, Gabby uploaded photos of their RV on the platform, followed by a video on YouTube. Unlike before, these two updates lacked location tags. On August 25th, Gabby shared her final photo on the platform, a picture of her holding a small pumpkin with the caption, "Happy Halloween," but once again, there was no location tag. On August 26th, she sent a text to her mother, informing her that they were heading to Grand Teton National Park in Wyoming. On August 30th, Gabby sent her last message to her family, which read, "No signal in Yosemite." After that, she went missing. Her social media stopped updating, and she ceased contact with her family. Her family grew suspicious, as Gabby was a responsible child who stayed close to them. During the trip, she frequently kept in touch, sometimes calling her mother 3 times a day. By September 11th, after Gabby had been out of contact for over 10 days, her parents had tried reaching Brian's parents, but the calls never went through. Since Gabby's last updates lacked location tags, no one knew where they were. In their anxiety, Gabby's parents had no choice but to report her missing to the police. Shockingly, it turned out that Brian had already returned to his parents' home in Northport on September 1st, driving the RV alone. Gabby wasn't with him. This meant that after Brian returned, his parents likely knew something had happened, yet they chose to shield their son. While Gabby's family was consumed with worry, Brian's parents deliberately remained silent to the outside world, refusing to come forward. This sparked outrage among netizens concerned for Gabby, who directed their anger at Brian's family, gathering outside their home and even organizing protests. The police recognized the gravity of the situation and brought in the FBI. Infuriatingly, Brian refused to answer the FBI's questions and hired a lawyer who cited the risk of misinterpretation as a reason to decline cooperation. Brian's parents, who had once adored Gabby, turned cold and distant after her disappearance. What had happened between Gabby and Brian from their engagement to now? Let's go back to August 12th, 2021, in Moab, Utah, where someone reported seeing a couple fighting on the street, with the man slapping the woman. The police soon located the couple. It was Gabby and Brian. Brian was driving at the time and, upon noticing the police following, sped up and eventually crashed into a curb, forcing him to stop. Body cam footage showed Gabby crying hysterically in the passenger seat. When asked why she was crying, she said it was due to personal issues. Brian apologized to the police for speeding, but before he could finish, Gabby quickly explained that it was her fault for distracting him, causing the crash. As Gabby's emotions spiraled, the police had her step out of the vehicle to calm her down. She explained that her severe OCD compelled her to constantly clean and organize the RV, which annoyed Brian. She also mentioned that when she uploaded videos online, Brian often made discouraging remarks, adding to her stress. That morning, they had argued, and Brian had refused to let her back into the RV, leaving her heartbroken and emotionally overwhelmed. Due to the high temperature, the police allowed Gabby to rest in the vehicle while they questioned Brian. They noticed scratches on his neck, arms, and face. Brian claimed these came from Gabby pushing him and hitting him with her phone while he tried to stop her from grabbing the car keys. The police then checked with Gabby and found scratches on her face and bruises on her arm. When asked how she got them, she hesitated before reluctantly admitting that Brian had hit her with a backpack. When pressed further about whether Brian had struck her, since the witness reported seeing the man slap the woman, Gabby quickly clarified that she had slapped Brian first, and he had grabbed her face and arm to stop her. Throughout the body cam footage, Brian remained smiling and cooperative, giving off an honest and kind impression, while Gabby was in tears, repeatedly taking all the blame. Their accounts of the crash also differed. Brian said Gabby grabbed the steering wheel, while Gabby claimed she punched him. Clearly, one of them was lying. Based on their demeanors, the police concluded that Brian was the victim and Gabby the primary aggressor. Several aspects of this encounter raise questions. First, Gabby mentioned that both she and Brian suffered from anxiety. While she didn't take medication and managed it with yoga, the police never asked whether Brian was on medication or receiving treatment. Second, the officers determined Gabby was the aggressor, and Brian lied to protect her from a domestic violence arrest. However, the footage suggests it might have been Gabby protecting Brian by taking the blame. Third, when the police said Gabby, as the aggressor, would need to appear in court and be separated from Brian for the night, she became extremely anxious, saying she couldn't be apart from him or sleep alone. Ultimately, they were separated. Brian stayed in a police-arranged hotel, while Gabby remained in the RV. Given her reaction to the separation, could it be that she took the blame out of fear of being apart from Brian? Both in Gabby's videos and the police footage, Brian consistently appeared as a warm, smiling man. However, on August 27th, a netizen at a Wyoming restaurant witnessed a different side of him. Seated at a nearby table, they saw Brian arguing fiercely with the restaurant owner over the bill, shouting aggressively and storming in and out, ignoring a frightened and crying Gabby. They were eventually kicked out. This rude and aggressive behavior left the witness shaken, revealing that Brian wasn't as harmless as he seemed. Beneath his slight frame lurked a volatile personality. That same day, Gabby's mother received a strange text from her. "Can you help Stan? He keeps calling and leaving me messages." This puzzled her mother, as Stan was Gabby's grandfather, and Gabby never referred to him by his first name. She suspected the message wasn't from Gabby. On August 29th, a netizen encountered Brian hitchhiking alone, claiming he'd been camping with his fiancée for days. Oddly, he didn't explain why he was alone or where Gabby was. Had they split after a fight, with Gabby driving off in the RV, or had she already been harmed? On September 19th, a YouTube video uploaded by a netizen, filmed on August 27th near a remote road in Grand Teton National Park, showed a white van matching Gabby and Brian's. A flip-flop identical to one Gabby wore was visible, and someone appeared to be burying something nearby. The van's door was open at first but closed as the camera approached. Following this lead, police found human remains in the park, later identified as Gabby's. The autopsy revealed she died of mechanical asphyxiation around late August, about 20 days prior, meaning she had been killed by then. Once this news broke, Brian became the prime suspect. As netizens awaited further developments, Brian's parents suddenly reported him missing to the police, claiming he'd gone hiking in the Carlton Reserve, 13 kilometers from home, on September 13th or 14th, despite their attempts to stop him. He never returned. Curiously, with protesters and the FBI staking out his home since Gabby's disappearance, how did he slip away unnoticed? The reserve, three-quarters swamp, and teeming with alligators, snakes, and mosquitoes, prompted a massive search with helicopters, drones, dogs, and divers. But weeks passed with no results. On October 7th, Brian's parents joined the search, directing police to his usual hiking spot near the reserve's edge. 13 days later, they found a waterproof bag, a notebook, tattered clothes, and, nearby, skeletal fragments. Dental records confirmed they were Brian's. The notebook provided the case's final answer. Brian detailed strangling Gabby during one of their frequent escalating arguments, driven by uncontrollable rage. Overwhelmed by guilt and public pressure after the act, he later shot himself in the wilderness. A forensic exam confirmed he died of a self-inflicted gunshot to the head. Thus, Brian was the killer. But does the case end here? Number one issue still angers netizens: the police body cam footage. Had the officers seen through Brian's facade and helped Gabby, this tragedy might have been prevented. Ultimately, police inaction played a role. As a small tip, when communication breaks down and anger flares, try deep breathing and counting down from 10. It gives you time to think rationally rather than be ruled by emotion, potentially sparing you regret over irreversible consequences. That's all for this video. I'm Michael Vincent. See you next time. Bye.